It's the April 2025 show with Craig from Causyn Cooling and Heating on the Queensway in Simcoe. A lot of feedback, a lot of chat on our talk last month about tariffs. I think we need to go into it a bit more because it's scaring people. Let's be honest, right? And with your industry and furnaces, hot water tanks, air conditioners, all of it, it's going to have an effect. So, can you give me an update?
Absolutely. First and foremost, as always, thank you so much for having me, Dave. Always pleasure being here. And yes, my industry, like many industries, is getting slapped right now. The majority of our products are steel, copper, and aluminum. In fact, I got a message yesterday from a supplier that gas piping material is going up 30%. That is correct, folks. 30%. So just to get the gas run in the home for that barbecue or that furnace or that water heater, that fireplace, whatever it may be, the raw materials itself is 30%, and all the connecting pieces to get it together are 30%. That was one item on a list of 17 that we received yesterday. We have also been notified that pricing is on a 5 business day turnaround. So every 5 days, suppliers will not guarantee pricing.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So that influx, you can't really operate much of a business like if you don't know what the price is. Can I ask a question, simple question on that when you're talking about the hosing? So
Yeah.
let's say you were putting in a line that's 10 feet and you need the 2 connectors.
Yep.
How much, like you said, it's 30%. Like, give me a realm. Like, what's that going to be? What would it used to be? And now how much is it going to be now?
Well, so typically what we used to do before is 20 feet of gas line with 2 connectors was installed with the proper materials and labor and everything was $425. So that's for 25 feet. So, I mean, you're looking 30 points on that easily right there. It's a heavy number, folks. This is the biggest I've ever seen. I'm 3rd generation in this industry. And, to have that number all at once and then now to also be told that there could be potential for more. The other thing to add to this, and I believe we talked about this in one of our last podcasts, Dave, is that some people, not all, forget that there's still tariffs from the last time Trump was in power down in the U.S. that are still on a lot of trade appliances and equipment as it is. So, for example, water heaters. Water heaters already currently have 2 tariffs from the last time he was in power. Now, these tariffs are coming again on top of them. So we are seeing significant increases across the board with everything, equipment, raw materials, whatever it may be. It's in regards to the HVAC world, in regards to, hot water, heating, cooling, fireplaces, barbecues, whatever it may be. Everybody's getting it. Everybody.
And it's not just like you said about these 17 items, but it's parts as well, right? Like, I mean, if it's
Yes.
coming out of the US, you're
Well,
seeing that.
it's twofold, absolutely. So parts on 2 things. So let me just turn this around and ask the viewers for a moment to think that they are the manufacturer. If I'm reaching out to you to get a part from you under warranty for Dave, would you rather go and make a new piece of equipment with that and sell it at a profit? Or would you rather ship it to me for free that you have to honor a warranty, as well as you now have to incur the freight costs that have gone up substantially to get it to me? So companies have a legal disclaimer that they have to fulfill this. But as far as priority goes, we're seeing a real delay in parts. We're seeing a real increase in parts as far as cost pricing and as far as getting here. That it's coming in multiple areas. So repairing equipment and the largest suppliers across Canada have told us as contractors and our industry, HRAI, Heating, Refrigeration, Air Conditioning Institute, that they have been encouraged that the United States gets priority for parts and equipment at this time. So that's where we're also seeing shipping delays too, and that if Dave in California needs a part and Craig in Canada needs a part and they're both under warranty, Craig will get his part, but Dave will get his first, and I will get mine sometime after through whatever it takes to ship it up here.
Are there Canadian companies that, like, I mean, obviously, as a group in your industry, you guys have a little bit of pull, but is there anything alternative you see in the horizon as far as parts or furnaces or anything?
What, yeah, we've got multiple suppliers that have talked to us in regards to reaching out to offshore. And looking at that, where the question comes back is making sure that these parts meet the safety and the manufacturing criteria that we as Canada have set forward, as well as the United States and the North American Trade Agreement, and as far as OEM replacement parts. So they are looking at that. Wholesalers are doing their best to, when they take inventory from a supplier, to stock up as much as they can. But that's why they say they can only hold pricing for 5 days, because if Dave, the wholesaler, brings in 10,000 items and he ships those 10,000 items across Canada, and the ones in Ontario sell out within 5 days, now if he's got to reorder, his price might be different than what it was a week ago. So that's where, you will see items that it's like, oh, it's been 6 months and the price stays the same. Great, fantastic, and that's what we all want, right? But we're going to see other parts where it's like, oh, we're out of those. We need to order more, but they've now gone up 25%. And on top of that, it now costs us an extra 15% in freight just to get it up here.
I'm just assuming, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, the volatility in the pricing, is it due to obviously the tariffs, but also the stock market? It's just crazy. The influx is incredible. Has that had a bearing on it?
100%,
Okay.
without question. It without question it has. And that's the part where myself and I find a lot of people that I'm close with, it's struggle to keep your head wrapped around everything, because there's so much going on that is affecting everything. It's not just this one thing. It's not just, oh, there's just this tariff that's on here, but
How
it's
do you
also the fact that, there's the tariff on it. Well, now the stock markets need to still make their numbers to stay afloat. And then on top of that, it costs more money in freight to get it here. And then on top of that, any volume rebates that might have been around are now gone. So now that supplier that was selling a product at a lower margin and getting a volume rebate and having a lower shipping fee has no more rebates. Volume rebate has higher shipping fees. It is now charging more for the product, substantially more. But at the same time, they're actually physically making less money on it because they're not getting the kickbacks that they had based on the stocks being so strong and companies being tenfold, things of that nature. It's pretty wild cycle.
how do you price out, like if I called you today and said come out price out a furnace, how do you do it? Like how do you what you like you said,
Yeah.
if things change that quickly, are you
Mhm.
putting a disclaimer in there? Are you
I'm putting a disclaimer in right now, but my disclaimer at this point in time is 30 days. I'm still giving my clients as much leeway as I can. What I am doing is I am going over the any quotes much more detailed as far as in writing. I go over all my quotes very detailed when I'm in the home, but I go over detailed in writing with the customer, so that way when they do get their quote, they see where the pricing is and why it is the way it is. And I am also doing my best, like many people, to many contractors, to have as much inventory as my cash flow and the operation will allow me to, so that I can hold pricing as best I can. Um, so it's a combination of things, and we're adjusting it. The other thing I'm doing too is I'm doing my best. My staff and my team have been phenomenal. We just finished our inventory, and we're getting really, really sharp on what parts we're going to have available here, so that we can best service our clients. Because it's like I say, that part might change in a week, in 10 days. So we look at our key equipment, we look at the predominant stuff in the market that's out there, and we also look for what's OEM and universal, but what is going to meet the criteria for safety and warranty purposes. I mean, those are the key things, right?
you got to be ready because you don't know how long this can last, right? That's
You
the other part.
Exactly, right. And it could go up, and we all pray it goes back down. The other
Yeah.
thing too is that there's a lot of we are finding in the past couple of years, with COVID and multiple different things and market swings, that some of our customers are saying, "Oh, well, I found it on Amazon, and I'm going to go there and get it." And I'm not saying that's a bad idea, but what we have found as an industry is the parts that are on Amazon are not OEM certified, which means the part is not most likely CSA approved, which means we as contractors are legally not allowed to install it, because now it comes back on us as our insurance, our liability. And I've had customers say to me, well, that's not my problem. And I said, okay, well, then I apologize, but I don't think we're the right fit for you then, because I can't risk my entire business, let alone all my staff's jobs, my kids' roof over their head, because you would like me to install a part that doesn't meet the safety or manufacturing criterias that we have set forth here. And that's where then they, sadly they get frustrated and they go to somebody else. And it's not to say that somebody won't do it, but I just want to express to the customers, be cautioned of this, because should anything ever happen, your home insurance now has every reason to deny any coverage because it was not followed by the regulations within our industry.
The other thing I want to touch base on today, and we talked a little bit about this off air, is those fake inspections are out and about
Oh my
again.
gosh.
So the scams, folks, let Craig talk to you about that. Be aware.
I can't stress this enough right now. The scams are back and at one of the highest levels out there. People are calling, they are literally knocking on doors, and they are trying to use what current rebate programs are available through the government to get in your door, mislead you based on equipment, mislead you based on what costs are going to be. For example, I had a lady 2 days ago who was a good customer of ours, said somebody called her, was calling in regards to her registration for a rebate. She's like, I never registered. And they said, well, you qualify for one. Would you like us to help you with that for a water heater? She would get $1,000 rebate, but it was $5,500 they were going to charge her for her new water heater because it has to be a heat pump model. And I'm not saying that's a bad model, but there's a lot of variables with that too. But this lady did not need a new water heater by any means whatsoever, based on the age of her current one, based on the fact that she's single, living alone in a small home. She doesn't need anything of that size. We're getting calls in regards to checking your HVAC, checking your furnace, checking your air conditioner, checking your water heater, what rebates, you qualified for this or that. Everybody qualifies. Everybody qualifies. If you own a home, you all qualify. The matter is it something you're interested in? And that's for you to decide. Nobody that is officiating these programs or working with them will be calling you to get in your home. That there's actually, it's called Bill 149, and I've got a copy of it here, that says they can't do that. And even myself today, or any of my good competitors, if I have a great financing program that we offer to all of our customers should they need it with a really competitive rate, but I need you to sign that bill that says I didn't solicit you, because there's been so many of this, and not only me, but any reputable business in the HVAC trade requires you to sign that form that says we didn't solicit you. So anybody that's soliciting like that, as soon as they want to do a finance, we have to have that form filled in.
Is there any one question you can ask if someone calls you that sort of tells you if this is legit or not? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is there something that throws them off that you can say, well, wait,
Well,
I'm
wait,
just curious.
yeah, you could ask, the one thing I would be is, how did you get my information?
Yeah, really. That's a good
That's the
start.
big thing,
Yeah,
because nobody should have, unless you
no,
have dealt with them before, they should not have your information, especially with the Privacy Acts in Canada today. So the
that's really
fact
good.
alone, that would be my number one thing is, how did you get my contact information?
Yeah, and it sets the agenda right there, right? Because then you're
Exactly.
going to find out exactly
Because
what.
if they didn't say, oh, we got an email from, this lady in particular, she was wondering if her son had reached out because he had just moved back out of the
Right.
house.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with him. He's not even on the name of ownership of the home. So there was no way.
And
So
the other
these
part
people,
is with the program that you guys offer is, that you have in place for people that they can, I think it's what, $20 a month or something, right?
yeah, not even
If
10 bucks
somebody's
a month if
coming to
they,
your door, there's
right.
even more reason to call you. I mean,
Absolutely.
you're already taking care of them. So you're going to say,
Exactly.
hey, hey,
Yep.
this guy just called me. What do I do? Right. And you're like, well,
Right.
you under our program, all that's taken care of. You're covered.
Well, and sadly, we've seen that specifically, and I'm just going to call it out. We've seen it in the Port Rowan area where they drop off two guys and they walk down the block and go, hey, I got a truck in the area. We're offering maintenances at half price for $75 right now. And they get in the home and they find an issue. We
Yeah.
had a lady in March who her furnace got condemned by a very, very large company. We won't talk about their
Yeah.
name. And she called us because we've done all of her work. And I said, well, what were they doing in here? Oh, they knocked on the door and said, a half price. And my husband passed, as you know, 2 years ago. So I thought, hey, I need to get it done. We went in there. We did our CO test. There was nothing wrong with the furnace. There was
Man.
nothing wrong with the furnace. And the first indicator that we knew there was nothing wrong with the furnace is he condemned it, but never shut it off. So
There you
how
go.
would you, how is
Yeah,
that possible that under our laws that we are governed, if we find something that has a cracked heat exchanger and it is unsafe, we have to by law condemn it. Doesn't matter if it's the middle of January or what. That's, it's a safety issue, right? Um, so just they're out. It's that time of year, folks. It's spring,
be
and
diligent.
they're looking for business. They're looking to dig it up, and they're looking to get in your home. And there's some very, very aggressive tactics. So that would be my number one question. How did you get my contact information? Because I didn't reach out to you.
And if they're at your door, don't let them in. Even
Right.
if
Yeah,
they're say, yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
everybody, if they're
Yeah.
sweet talking you, then just
Yeah.
say, yeah, it's okay. I'll
And
pass right now.
here's the other thing too. No utility company will just show up knocking at your door. The only one that does
Uh,
that is ESA when they're doing an inspection, and you will be notified before they get there.
okay, so you're
Right. So
well
they're
aware.
not, if ESA shows up, like we have ESA that shows up there because we pull a permit for every air conditioner install that we do, right? And we
Right.
apply, and they'll say, oh, Cousins did 25 this month. We're going to go look at these five and make sure that they're done properly, right? You'll be notified beforehand. They don't
The
just
other
show up out of the blue.
the other part I want to stress on this too is community. Tell your neighbors,
Yes.
like share that information, folks, with each other
Mm-hmm.
because, I mean, you can call Craig for sure, do that. But I mean, if I found something out, I'm gonna let my neighbor know, hey, these guys are in the area,
Mm-hmm.
blah blah blah. Just be aware, that,
Absolutely. And
that this is coming.
we all know, I know in my neighborhood where I am, I know which ones are going to not even come to the door. And I know which houses would be a perfect
Yeah.
potential that they're going to go in and they're going to, take full advantage. Right. So, the way I look at it is, it's like our motto around here every house is grandma's house because at grandma's, everybody has the highest respect, right? Think
Yeah.
about your neighbors, like grandma. Would you want somebody, yes, okay, me and Mrs. Rogers haven't talked in 2 years. She barely comes out of her house. But I don't want someone taking advantage of her, just like I wouldn't want somebody taking advantage of my grandmother just because they're knocking on the door and all of a sudden now she has a $5,000 lien against her house.
Yeah. It's important that, and that's the other part where I always get back to is being a small business in the community, you want to help each other. And I
Right,
think that's the other part that folks need to remember too. Who is your local guy that you go to? Call them first. There's always someone that that can advise you or say if this is a scam or,
right,
don't let them in type thing.
right.
So I would recommend that highly.
The
Um,
last thing I just want to say about that
yeah.
real quick, Dave, is anything in regards to the rebate programs, the current rebates that are out there now, everything that is available is the responsibility of the homeowner to apply for the rebate. So if
Good
somebody's
point.
reaching out to you in regards to it, they're trying to sell you something. And yes, they might be able to guide you just like I can guide you on the process and how it works and what you get qualified for. But at the end of the day, it is the homeowner's responsibility. So with these scams coming in and they sell you this $5,000 water heater so that you get $1,000 back, it's on you to do the full application. There is no legality that says that they have to be the ones that do the work for you. So, in regards to heat pumps, it's a little different. It's responsible for the contractor now, but everything else outside of heat pumps, but with the contractors, it's still 50% the contractor, 50% the homeowner.
Yeah.
So these rebates, if people are reaching out saying, oh, you qualified or oh, you got this here, how would they know? Because it's at one, everybody qualifies, and two, it's on you to fulfill all the duties, all the paperwork, pay all the bills, send everything in to get whatever rebate you may qualify for. It is not on them.
I always think of the old line, if it sounds too good to be true, probably
Yeah.
is.
Yes.
Right. Thanks for doing this today. Great conversation. Next month, we're going to talk about something fun.
Sounds great. Look
All right,
forward to it.
buddy.
We'll have good news. Appreciate it.
Take
Thank you
care.
as always.